Krsna. Welcome to all the devotees to our weekly Bhakti Vaibhav class. So, in the previous class, we were discussing from 14th chapter, where having visited Dwarka, having overseen all the final rituals that are needs to be performed for the residents of Dwarka, Arjuna returned to Hastinapur. In the meantime, 7 months passed. In these 7 months, because of the advent of Kali, Yudhishthira Maharaj, witnessing so many ill omens, he was conversing with Bhima, saying that okay, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening like this, which was not happened in the past. Then immediately Arjuna comes. He falls flat at the feet of Yudhishthir and starts crying. So, unable to understand what is the reason, he starts inquiring from Arjuna whether this happened to you, whether that happened to you, this happened to you, like this, like this. So many things he's asking. Before that, he is also asking about the welfare of the Dwaraka Vasis. Is Vasudev is okay, Devaki and her sisters are okay, Ugrasena is okay, Akrura is okay, this person, that person, how they are doing, Krishna's sons, Krishna's wives, everyone what they are doing, how they are doing, etc. etc. He kind of inquired till the previous verse, till 38th verse. Now from 39th verse till the end of the chapter, he directly inquires Arjuna. So whether in relation to you anything happened like that. So we'll see that. Then Arjuna replies to Yudhishthira Maharaj, being requested like that in the next chapter. That also we'll see today.
I have two questions. Actually, first, that time of this 7th month, that Narad Muni also visited, and this is Vidura Maharaj also visited. That time Arjuna was not there.
Apparently, it is not clearly mentioned anywhere in the Bhagavatam. So, if Arjuna was sent before only, Arjuna could have visited, could have met Krishna and all. Vidura visited, kind of inspired Dhritarashtra to come out of the palace comforts and go to Himalayas and take to Vanaprasthana and do the needful. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj was feeling very sorry that somehow or other all these years he was here, but he's feeling bad and he left. When Narad Muni came and informed, this is the nature of this world. Kaliga is about to begin. So continue as a king till the time Lord gives indication when to wind up, etc. Then he has sent Arjuna to Dwarka immediately. So by the time Arjuna went there, everything is done. He just oversaw all the final rites. Whatever final rites need to be done, they are performed under the care of Arjuna. Then he came back. But in the meantime, 7 months passed. It's not 1 day job or 2 day job. So somebody might question that. According to modern day context, how come 7 months no news came? So Dwaraka, Hastinapur are not so far. They are nearby only. Why the news has not come, etc. Generally, if something is good news, they transmit immediately. We discussed about the news also in the Vedic. Since this is very sorrowful news, Arjuna did not send any message. So it is like they kept quiet. Even later, 10th canto also Bhagavatam explains that Nanda Maharaj and all the Vrajavasis are there in Vrindavan. Krishna was there in Madura. How much it is? 13 kilometers only. For now, from our point of view, 13 kilometers means nothing. Take a bicycle, 1 hour journey, you go there, something like that. But Nanda Maharaj and other Vrajavasis would never come to Madura. Maybe once in a year they might come to pay tax. Otherwise, they would never come to Madura. And Maduravas also they don't go generally. Maybe some soldiers might go here and there, but otherwise they don't go. Only the people who would go is the fruit sellers, vegetable sellers, those who are milk sellers, those who cultivate all these things in the village and they're selling the town. Only they go. And when they would come to town in order to sell their products, they would speak about Lord Krishna to the Maduravasis. That's how Maduravasis heard about Krishna. That's how the Brahmana Patni also heard about Krishna from the vegetable sellers, fruit sellers, and milk sellers, milk product sellers, etc. Otherwise, they would not go here and there. From now today's context, इसके वजह से within in minutes everything is spread all out, good or bad, no one cares. So, but in the Vedic times, it's not like that.
Because we have seen this in the Bhishma Pitama past time. When the Lord Krishna want to meet Bhishma Pitama, then all the even kings and Rajas, then everybody assemble within that time. But here only 7 months passed, but Yudhishthira Maharaj also not heard that here Krishna is.
But that is anticipated, that everyone was expecting. Mahabharata battle is going on. Everyone was watching that battle. It is not that okay, some remotely some people are fighting, not like that. Entire universe is watching. This is not a battle between Kauravas and Pandavas. It is actually a battle between Devatas and Asuras. It is a universal battle. So everyone was watching. So Bhishma is one such great personality. Everyone want to know what will be the departure of Bhishma. So they were anticipating when it is about to happen, they all came. So it's like that. There, that all the sages are eagerly waiting for it. So they got the news. And Paramatma communication is always there in that sense. So here Arjuna willingly did not send any message because he is already there and here Pandavas will feel sorry and see it's like a heart rendering thing. So they don't want to uh, do it inappropriately. Even Yudhishthira was asking so many things. Arjuna could have told in the beginning only after coming here back. So Krishna, he did not tell that. He was simply crying, crying, crying. Yudhishthira was asking so many things. Asking. At the end, he will ask. We'll see in the last verse of this chapter. So, Kachitte namayam tata. No. You recite along with me. Kachitte namayam tata. Vrashta teja vibhasi me. Alabdamano avajnata. Kimva tata chiroshita.
My brother Arjuna, please tell me whether your health is all right. You appear to have lost your bodily luster. Is this due to others disrespecting and neglecting you because of your long stay at Dwarka?
Yeah. Now he's asking question related to Arjuna. Kachitte anamayam tata. Tata means my dear Vasta, my dear. Like Yudhishthira is the elder brother. He sees younger brothers like his own sons. So are you healthy? Kachitte anamayam tata. Did you contracted with any disease? Anamayam means disease, something like that. Brashta teja vibhasime. So you appear to have lost your effulgence. Brashta teja. Your face is not glowing. Effulgence, you lost your effulgence. What is the reason for that? Alabdamano avajnata kimva tata shiroshita. Staying away so long, were you not given proper respect? Alabdamano. When somebody stays at the relative's home for long, slowly the respect will go away. What is this? Familiarity breeds contempt. It's like that. So did somebody disrespected you? They did not give you proper respect. So like that, so many questions are being asked. In 6 verses, Yudhishthira Maharaj asks about the welfare of Arjuna, who was not speaking. He was asking questions after question, but still Arjuna is not speaking at all. So he is asking about Arjuna. Anamaya means health. Where were you who were staying there a long time, not respected by your friends, or more than that, disrespected them? One thing is getting respect. Second thing is not getting respect. Third thing is getting disrespect. So, so did you go through all these things? Because for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. So, in that way, he's asking these questions. Then he continues. Kachinna bihato bhavai shabdadibir amangalai nadattam muktam artibhya asayya yat parishrutam.
He has someone addressed you with unfriendly words or threatened you. Could you not give charity to one who asked? Or could you not keep your promise to someone?
So now he's asking that Kachinna abhito abhavai shabdadibir amangalai. Were you struck by harsh words without affection? People who are not our friends, if they speak something harshly, it really hurts. Our close people, if they speak harshly, it may not be so much. So, I mean, it is not like that. Even when our close friends also, when they speak harshly, it hurts. But the speaking is not like a insulting way. Like when friends speak, na, they meant something, they speak something else. So that kind of words. Did you fail to give what you had promised to someone who requested from you? and then remained silent. Somebody approached you asking for some charity. The Kshatriya's nature is supposed to give charity whenever they ask for. That's why Balimara says, I have to give charity to the Dwar Brahmana. Even Shukracharya says, no, don't give him. He is Vishnu, who came like a Brahmana. He will steal away everything that you have. He says, no problem. Since I am a Kshatriya, I have given a vow that I will give charity to him. I will give. Then Shukracharya says, no, you are not at home. Unless until you utter home, it will not become proper. So you can still get away with it. He says, no, I have come in the line of Prahlad Maharaj and Virochana. How can I say no to it? So he gives charity. So Kshatriyas are never supposed to go back after giving the promise. They should follow it. So did you not fulfill the promise that you have given to somebody else? Or somebody spoke to you very harsh words? Something like that is asked. Were you beaten by words without love? Did you fail to give what you promised to persons who were waiting something with a desire to attain it? So you have promised someone and they were waiting to get something and you have not fulfilled your promise. That is also kind of insult for a Kshatriya. So he is feeling, he's asking all these things from Arjuna. Yes. Desha Kala Patra. Charity is not given to anybody and everyone. Charity, Kshatriyas are supposed to give charity, Brahmanas are supposed to take charity. So it's like that. Charity also should not be given to an unworthy person. If charity is given to an unworthy person, they will misuse it. And the giver also gets the 50% of the crime committed by the misuse. Because this person gave charity, that person committed a crime. If you have not given the charity, you would have not committed a crime. So he will get 50%, he will get 50%. That's why charity is not supposed to be given to a unworthy person. That's why Shastra always say that the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are supposed to give charity and Brahmanas are supposed to take charity. That is very culture. They can't accept. They don't accept charity. They are not. That's why Mother Sita tells Lavakusha, by the request of Valmiki, when they were going out to recite Ramayana and spread the glory of Rama all over. So, yes, for Lavakusha, they are Brahmana boys. They don't know their original identity. Sita says that whenever you go, especially when you go to towns, especially Ayodhya town, there the the people are very generous. They give a lot of charities, but never ever accept any charity from anyone. The Kshatriyas are not supposed to accept charity. So in Mahabharata, Tapkaran, Madhvacharya writes a commentary. After escaping from the lakh house, which Duryodhana wanted to use to burn the Pandavas alive, the Pandavas were living in disguise like Brahmanas. They were traveling from place to place, forest to forest. They were in Ekachakra. They were kind of dressing like Brahmanas and going and begging. So every day, 4 Pandavas would go for begging, one would stay at home, guarding the mother. So whenever would Bhima go out, when somebody goes for begging, they would say that Bhavati Bhikshan Dehi or Bhavan Bhikshan Dehi. Bhima would go in front of the houses. He would never ask. Because Kshatriya should not ask for charity. He would go in front of the house. He would make some sound. He would kick with his feet so that some sound is made. People, the householders would come out. Seeing a Brahmana standing in front of the house, assuming him to be Brahmana, they would give some charity. Something like that. Kshatriyas would never ask for a charity. In the Gurukul, they are not supposed to be identified like that. They are born in the family. The training is given in the Gurukul. After Snatakosava, they are officially regarded as Kshatriya. Just like after completing your undergraduation, when you are given degree, you can say that you are undergraduate. Otherwise, can you say you are undergraduate? You cannot say. So like that, these students, when they go to Gurukul, unless until the Snatakosava is completed, they cannot say that I am Kshatriya, I am Vaishya, I am this and that. So until Snatakosava, they are supposed to be identityless. They are students only. They are not supposed to be called as Kshatriyas. They are training under Kshatriya culture. They will become eventually the Kshatriyas. So it's like that. That's why we always say that not by birth, by qualities. So it is like that. Even though they are born in that one particular lineage, but they need to be given proper training. Then they'll be called as a particular person, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmana, etc. Ah, yes. All the three upper castes used to go for Gurukul. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. Shudras, they have separate study system. They were given the opportunity to study only vocational courses, not the Vedas. They are not supposed to study the Vedas. There are 4 vocational courses in the Vedic custom. I told all of this in your Upanishad, Disha Upanishad classes. Remember? The 4 Upavedas: Gandharva, Tapatya, Ayurveda, Dhanurveda. See, now we don't follow any samskaras. In the Vedic custom, they used to follow all the samskaras. Why would a Kshatriya parents want a Brahmana son, or a Vaishya son, or a Shudra son? Would they ever want a son other than his own who would continue their dynasty? I'm asking you. Not like that. They would prepare, they would follow all the samskaras, starting with Garbhadana samskara, even much before that. By following all the samskaras, the child who is going to be born in their family will be obviously of the same nature. The Kshatriya parents always like what about mother? Mother from Rakshasa dynasty. Matru Jati Pitru Lakshan. The children will get the caste of the mother, the qualities of father. Not like that. When you put mango seed in a fertile soil, it grows. In a salty soil, it will not grow. It's like that. It will grow, but the mango fruits will be of salty quality. They are not sweet quality. It's like that. This is the Vedic culture is like that. Okay, I'll give you who? Who? Any example? It is not that they are not allowed to learn. They can't do it. The person's capacity is that much only, they can't do it. For example, I'm not boasting in the sense, all of us have given training to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If you give a new person walking, a bit, roadside people are there, na? I would say like this, some beggars are there. You call them, make them sit in the temple hall, give the feedback. Will they sit and chant 16 rounds? Why? They don't know nai. They don't have that mental disposition only. It needs some mental disposition. That's what I mean. The training is required. Even further also you went to training. For some people, even if you give training, they cannot do it. The Vedas are so technical, ordinary people cannot understand only, cannot make any sense out of it. So that's why they were told, don't. Don't bother your guru, don't bother yourself. Whatever you can do, do it. Because they are meant to do something else, they were trained in that. It is not like that, not like modern day culture. Everyone get into convent school and study for engineering. Andhra Pradesh, at least in the past 2 decades, that was the goal of the life. The training starts with 4th standard, even before they attend 10 years of age. The IT foundation, IT foundation, IT foundation, IT foundation. The goal is to get interest into IIT or NIT. Everyone, whether they can do or not, many children come to suicide also. Because they could not tolerate the exam, they could not go through the pressure of the parents, of the teachers, of the coaching centers, all these things. It's like, it's not that. Vedic culture is not like that. But the parents themselves, they make sure that they want Kshatriya children. And eventually they are sent to Gurukul. 50% is done with the birth only. Even the scriptures at the same time, they say that by birth, we should not give the, it is guna karma, but gunas are developed by the parents' samskaras. Gunas are developed, obviously. So if they need some training, when the training is given, they obviously come out with excellence, flying colors. Oh no, you should not want. Your parents should plan for it. You cannot plan for it. Your parents should plan for it before the birth, before the conception itself. They should plan what kind of child they want. Then the child will be born like that. It is not the person whether you want or not. Person cannot change his destiny. It is as per one's karma. It is written my karma to become something. I have to accept it.
Can predict the future. You can say, I want to aspire to this.
That is okay. That you can do. But even that mode of goodness also there are different levels. You cannot be on the level of the topmost point of goodness. It takes a lot of time. In this life, okay, you developed a desire that I want to come to mode of goodness. Endeavor. You may come at the beginning of the mode of goodness. Next life, you start from there, you get more levels. Scripture does not deny anyone, someone want to become something. But the problem is that we say that everything is only should happen in one lifetime. But the scripture's time is very long. Okay, at this life you are born in Sudra family, but you have developed an aspiration to become Ramana. No problem. Live your past life in this lifetime. Next life you will become Ramana. And you wait one lifetime. But unfortunately, the modern ideology is that I want to become now, right now. You don't have patience. That is the modern idea. That's why they question why only they, why only they, why not we, why not? No problem. Your desire, cultivate it. Next life you will become perfect Brahmana. Why not? Based on previous karma.
And this uh,
Their desire and as per their destiny. So in the previous life they were desired to become Brahmana. So now this life they are born in the Brahmana family. So that they were given the proper culture from the very birth itself. So they'll be trained very nicely in the Brahmana family and they'll become Brahmanas happily. That's all. Very simple. I mean, this is my understanding. You can check with other devotees. So it's very simple.
One can desire to for a higher,
Yes,
status.
obviously one should desire. Desire is not enough. One should work for it. Unless until one works for it, one will not attain it.
Yes, so at least in Vedic system, their scope was there to work on it.
Yes, scope was there. That is the problem with Karna. So current modern society, everyone has Karna mentality. They don't want to accept what is there right now. They want something more than that. That is. Kachitvam Brahmanam Balam Gamruddam Roginam Sriyam Sharanopasrishtam Sattva Natyakshi Sharanapada.
You are always the protector of the deserving living beings, such as Brahmanas, children, cows, women, and the diseased. Could you not give them protection when they approached you for shelter?
Yeah. Few more inquiries from Arjuna. O giver of shelter, Sharanaprada, did you perhaps reject the Brahmanas, children's, cows, elders, invalids, and women, and other living beings who took shelter of you? In one temple Bhagavatam class, there was one verse about the protection of the five people, why protection is supposed to be given to all the five. We discussed elaborately on that. You see here, the Brahmanas are not supposed to be given protection, children are supposed to be given protection, the cows supposed to be given protection, the elderly people are supposed to be given protection, and the women supposed to be given protection. And the invalids, especially who have bodily limbs disabled, those who are affected by incurable diseases, who cannot be normal like others, they also need to be given protection. The king is supposed to sponsor for their maintenance, etc. So when these people approach you for protection, have you not given shelter or given protection? Something like that. Because it's the responsibility of the king to oversee the protection of all these people. When these people are protected, society will be in sane condition. So in that way, these are five people need to be given protection always. Sharanopasrishtam means surrendered, Sattva means living beings. All the living entities need protection from the kings. So since Arjuna is representing the kingly order, he need to give protection in that way. Next. Kachitvam nagamo gamyam gamyam vasatrutam shriya parajito vata bhavan notamerna samerpati.
Have you contacted a woman of impeachable character, or have you not properly treated a deserving woman? Or have you been defeated on the way by someone who is inferior or equal to you?
Yeah. Here one more interesting point in relation to kings. Did you perhaps approach an unworthy woman, or did you approach a woman not properly attired? Were you defeated or were you defeated on the road by inferiors in strength or caste? So here is one more thing also. The kings, if they are approached by a woman, kings are supposed to give shelter. In the Vedic culture, we see so many examples like that. So when a woman approaches, they are supposed to give shelter. The same thing someone asked about Ravana. Ravana's father was Vishrava. Yes, Vishrava is a perfect Brahmana. He already married a Brahmana lady, something like that. They gave birth to one son. His name is Vishravana. He became eventually Kuvera, the caretaker of the wealth of the Devatas. So Kuvera was given a nice place known as Lanka to reside, filled with golden palaces, etc. Everything very opulent. Unable to tolerate, because previously Lanka was belonging to Rakshasas. Previously, once Lord Vishnu, because Rakshasas were troubling the Devatas, Lord Vishnu went and threw them out of Lanka. He kind of defeated them and threw them out of Lanka. They were wandering here and there, shelterless. And all the Rakshasas became very much insecure. Now that Lanka was given to Vishravana, that is Kuvera. So some of the Rakshasas became insecure. So one person is there, I don't remember his name, Matali or something like that. Sumali. They had a sister. They told the sister, please go and serve this Brahmana, Vishrava. She came and served that Brahmana very nicely. And when Brahmana became very happy, he asked, what do you want? I am happy to give you blessing. She said, I want to marry you. I want to beget children from you. She already said, I will give you blessings. Even though understanding that she is from the Rakshasa community, he married, she gave birth to 4 children. Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Vibhishana and Surpanaka. See what kind of children were born. So sometimes when somebody approaches with a desire, they need to fulfill, when they say I will fulfill, they need to fulfill that desire. But eventually result will be like that. So like that, this asking, did any woman who is not worthy approached you for marriage proposal, you did not say yes, or did you accepted in marriage some unworthy woman? Like that is asking question. And then, were you defeated on the road by some inferiors in strength or by caste? The Kshatriyas are supposed to fight with Kshatriyas only, not with others. They cannot fight with anybody else. That's why when Karna came in that martial arena where the Pandavas and Kauravas were exhibiting their learning from Gurukul, after returning from Gurukul, suddenly Karna came and he said, I can display more than Arjuna. He started displaying his skills. Of course, in one sense, his skill was much more better than Arjuna's. Because Karna was the direct disciple of Parshuram. And Arjuna is the secondary disciple of Parshuram. Because Parshuram's disciple was Dronacharya, Drona's disciple is Arjuna. In one sense, Arjuna's skill was less compared to the skills of Karna. So, after displaying that, I would challenge Arjuna. So, you, Drona, you are saying that no one is equal to Arjuna in archery skills. I can literally challenge Arjuna and defeat him right now in front of all of you. I will establish my superiority in the skills of archery, etc. Then Krupacharya comes forward. Oh, my dear son, please wait. If you want to fight with Arjuna, please tell me your lineage. What is your lineage? Because only Kshatriya can fight with another Kshatriya. Kshatriya cannot fight with the lower caste. The Vaishyas, Shudras, they cannot fight because they are not expert at archery skills. And anyway, they cannot fight with Brahmanas. If Brahmanas on their own, they come for fighting, they can fight. Otherwise, they cannot raise weapons with Brahmanas. Then Karna says, I am the son of Adirath from Sudha family. Then the elder say, you cannot fight with Arjuna. You may be expert at skills, but a Kshatriya cannot fight with Vaishyas. The reason the Acharya say that, among the Sudha community, millions of the people are there. You one may be expert at archery. If today Arjuna will fights with you, tomorrow the Kshatriyas will quote this example. In the past, a Suta fought with a Kshatriya. So now Kshatriyas can fight with Sutas. For no reason, there will be unnecessary, what do you call that? Killing of Suta community. They are not supposed to fight. Kshatriyas are not supposed to fight Suta community. So we cannot allow this mismatched fight between Arjuna and Karna. Only a Kshatriya can fight with another Kshatriya. Duryodhana grabbed that opportunity, makes Karna the king of Angadesh, and then the fight is etc. So that was the
Hare
reason.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, 1 second, please wait. I will complete one more point to this. If you read our history, in the past, there used to be fights between kings. The fight used to happen outside city. Somewhere in the barren field, they used to fight for days together. They would make camps there, they would fight together. The fighting between two Kshatriya parties would never affect common people. The common people are peacefully residing. Only after the fight, whoever becomes victorious, they will become the king. There will be no disturbance to the people in general. But now, in today's context, what kind of fights are going on? The first common people are getting affected. So this is the Kali Yuga. This is the effect of Kali Yuga. In the previous 3 yugas, fights are only between Kshatriyas. No one would be affected by the fights between the Kshatriyas. Rest all will be away from the battlefield, they are safe. But now, and those days fights would happen only in the daytime, night time they would not fight. Now things are happening only in the night time and the common people. It is entirely against to the Vedic principle. That's how things are there now. Yeah, yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Ah.
Sometimes why people are judged according to their birth, by birth, and sometimes in Gita it is said, Krishna says ki guna karma, the varna is defined by guna and karma only, not
Okay,
by
Guna and
birth.
Karma. What determines birth? By what a person will be born in a Brahmana family, by what a person is born in a Kshatriya family.
I think according to his past
Ah.
past life karmas.
Yeah, according to past life karma, if one is supposed to become Kshatriya, he is obviously born in Kshatriya family only. He cannot be born in Shudra family and can become Kshatriya, not like that. Na? So it is said, but still, even by birth itself, half of one's identity is determined. The remaining half will come by training. So when you say guna and karma, karma decides one's birth. Because of past karma only, one is born in the Kshatriya family or Brahmana family. And if he is given some good training, he will excel in that field. So it's like that.
In case of that example, I wanted to the Karna was good in his skills, na. He had that guna and karma, but still he
Okay.
was not allowed.
Because who raised Karna? Adhirath and Radha. The parents of
Yes.
Karna were Adhirath and Radha in the time of birth. And they performed all the samskara that would train the child in the Suta community. So they have given all the samskaras to the child so that the child will become Suta. But unfortunately, since he is son of Kshatrani, Kunti Maharani, he continued the same mentality. So he wanted to be like be recognized as one among the Kshatriyas. But since he was given samskaras by Adhirath, he was trained to become Suta, but he could not become. So that is the problem with him.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
They are not asking anybody, what is your task? We are learning.
See, Varnashram system in 3 modes. Bhakti is beyond 3 modes. What was the request Krishna tells to Arjuna? Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Nirdvando Nitya Sattasto Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. The Varnashram system, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi, Sakama Karma Yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, all these things come under the purview of 3 modes of material nature. Bhakti is beyond 3 modes of material nature. So when you talk about Bhakti, there is no Varna, no Ashrama, no Guna, no Karma. Everything is beyond. Anyone and everyone can practice Bhakti. No, we are not doing only Bhakti, we are doing everything. We need to understand and we need to do Bhakti, then we are saved. There is one verse, Tevai Vidanti Atitaranti Devamaya Sri Shudra Huna Sabara Apipapa Jiva Ati Adbhuta Krama Parayana Shila Shiksha Tiryak Jano Kimuta Shrudarnaye. Tiryak Jano, even the animals by taking shelter of a pure devotee can perfect their life, go back to Godhead. Then what to speak of a Shrudarnaye? The human being who can understand, who can hear and understand and then follow. Why can't he get attain perfection? The Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga can be followed by upper 3 castes only. Shudras are not qualified to practice all these 3. Vaishya, Kshatriya and Brahmana only can be followed. Others cannot follow. There is a limitation for them to practice for all those things. Then what about Shudras? What about other sinful people? Devai Vidanti Attarancha Devamayam Sri. Sri means unprotected woman. The woman who has no protection. Who has either no husband or the widowed woman or like that. Sri Shudra community. Sabara community who live in the forest. Abhi Papa Jiva and those sinful people. What about their deliverance? How will they be delivered? By taking shelter of Guru. Who is doing Bhakti? Api Adbhuta Krama Parayana Shila Shikshas. Those people who are continuously describing the wonderful activities of Supreme Lord, taking shelter of that person, Shila Shiksha, taking Shikshana of that person, can purify one's existence and attain. That is the Bhakti. Bhakti means not other things. Bhakti means simple. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnuho, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Bhakti means only these 9 things. Other than these 9 things, you do anything else, that is called Karma Jnana Yoga. No. Bhakti Vaibhav can be Bhakti, but throughout the day you are only doing Bhakti. You are doing your household activities. If some of Mataji's or Prabhuji's employees, you are going to office working according to your type of fitness. That is all karma. So we cannot be simply Bhaktas always. Bhakti means Goswamis. Only Bhakti means Goswamis. Like Raghunath Das Goswami. Can we remain like that? Even Grihasthas also can be called as Ananya Bhaktas, like Srivas Tagore. So we are both here also, there also. We are some. Yuddhacha means perform your varnashram duties. For Arjuna, it is Yuddha. For you and me, our duties. I am a brahmachari, you are a grihastha. That is what is expected. So Krishna says that you cannot be like Ananya Bhakta. Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam Yema Bhakta Parayashati. Tadaham Bhakti Upartam Ashnami Prayatatmana. That is for Ananya Bhaktas. Ananya Bhaktas who don't have any facilities. You can serve me by offering Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam, which is naturally available in the material nature. Water is there on the river. Not from the today's context. In general, in the Vedic context, rivers, water canals, everything used to be naturally available. Plants are there, they would give flowers, fruits, everything naturally can be taken. Nowadays, if you pluck some flower or some fruit from somebody else's place, that's all, we are gone. Now things are very different. So those people can worship the Supreme Lord even by offering simple things which are naturally available. But for the rest of the community, Yatkarosh Yadashnash Yadyosh Tadashe Dattapashi Kauntaya Tatkurushwa Madarpanam. Wherever you are, whatever you are, use everything in my service. sarvartakla chesta. So that is bhakti. So Krishna says in the next verse, my dear Arjuna, anyway you cannot be Ananda Bhakta, at least try to be a Karma Mishra, Jnana Mishra Bhakta. Follow thoda karma, thoda jnana and thoda bhakti. Sab milke karo. That is good for you.
Me
Ade-
being a Stree,
Huh?
me being a Stree, and being a Sudra, I can able to do the Vaibhav course.
No. See, don't say all those things, Shudra and all. See, whoever we are supposed to do all the three as per the need of the hour. We need to do our household duties, karma. We need to do some shastra study. We need to understand what the world is. That is jnana. We need to practice bhakti. Shravanam, kirtanam, smaranam, archanam, vandanam. That is bhakti. So it's like doing those things we cannot survive. We need food also. We need a home also. We need clothes also. All these things we need to work. We need to earn. That is all karma. We need to live in the society. We need to live in this world. We need to know about the world. That is jnana. So it's like that. We need to do both along with bhakti. So currently we are doing all the three. Maybe 30%, 30%, 30%. Eventually at the time of death, this 30 should become 0, this 30 should become 0, this 30 should become 100. Tadatam kirtayanto mam. Now 30% of the time we are doing kirtanam. At the time of death, we should do 24 hours by 7. Then we are ready to go back to Godhead. In that way. That is what we are supposed to aim at. So, devotees online able to follow?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Yeah, here is the last verse from Yudhishthira Maharaj, last inquiries. He is saying that Apisvit paryabhuntastvam sambhojan vruddha balakan jugupsitam karma kinchet kritavan nayat akshamam kachit preshtatama pataminata hrudaye natma bandhuna shunyosmi rahito nityam manyase te anat nakrut. Has someone read the
Have
translation?
you not taken care of old men and boys who deserve to dine with you? Have you left them and taken your meals alone? Have you committed some unpardonable mistake which is considered to be abominable? Or is it that you are feeling empty all the time because you might have lost your most intimate friend, Lord Krishna? Oh, my brother Arjuna, I can think of no other reason for you becoming so dejected.
Yeah. Did you perhaps take your meal without feeding elders and children who should be fed at the same time? In the family, the children and the elderly men should be given food first. Then the rest of the family members are supposed to take the food. So did you not follow this? Did you perform some horrendous forbidden act? Jugupsitam, some sinful activity have you performed, which is not expected from a personality like you? Something like that. And finally, I don't think any of these reasons are right. This must be. Do you consider yourself empty in consciousness because of separation from your most dear friend? Kachit preshtatamena atma bandhuna. Is it because that you are feeling separation from your most dear friend that you are feeling yourself so dejected? There can be no other reason for such devastation other than this reason. This must be the reason, because though I might have asked you about so many other things, but I don't think that any of those things have happened to you. Or if at all, if any other such thing happens, you cannot be like this. You won't be this much dejected. It is all, I think, only because of you are feeling separation from Krishna. Even though he suspected the same thing at the beginning only, but he did not want to take it. He did not want to hear that. So he did not ask it in the beginning. He is asking at the end. So Parya Bhunktaha means, did you eat without feeding others first? Akshma means something which should not be done. Kshamam means something can be forgiven. Akshamam means something which you have done and which cannot be forgiven. Whether you have done something unforgivable activity, something like that. But I should not have such doubts about you. So then, remembering the words of Narada, who already indicated the following is possible. However, you think to yourself, I am devoid of consciousness, fainting because of the absence of my dear friend at all times. So previously, Arjuna was in Hastinapur, Krishna was in Dwarka. In one sense, there is separation from distance, but it is not like this. Now Krishna is gone forever. So this separation is unbearable than the previous one. That indeed can be the only cause. Otherwise, you should not have affliction in your mind. You cannot be afflicted like this. This is only because of the permanent separation from Lord Krishna. There can be no other reason. So like this, Yudhishthira Maharaj kind of came to the conclusion of his inquiry. So other than this, there could be no other reason for your rejection. So please tell us, is it that Lord Krishna gone forever? Something like that. So with that inquiry, Yudhishthira Maharaj becomes quiet. Now Arjuna begins to respond to the inquiries of Yudhishthira Maharaj.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Mataji.
why didn't Yudhishthira ask about Krishna's welfare directly? It is because of etiquette and ethics.
Why? See, forget about that. Even we were told in our beginning days of ISKCON, when we visit temple, generally whenever we meet any friends, either equals or elders or any other relatives and all, we ask that, how are you? In Telugu we call Bagunnara. Are you okay? Are you well? So, but when it comes to devotees, we should not ask how are you, especially the senior devotees. Because they are already devoted, they are okay. Problems are natural in this material world. That is the nature of this material world. So we should never ask senior devotees how are you. That is not a proper etiquette. So if senior devotees we should not ask how are you, then how can we ask how are you Krishna himself? How Krishna is. So we should not ask like that. So indirectly is asking that whether the Yadus are well. If Krishna is there, Yadus will be obviously happy. If Yadus are happy, that means Krishna is there. That's why he asked the question about the welfare of Yadus. If Yadus are not happy, that means indirectly it is indicated Krishna is not there. So in that way he asked.
What is the answer for that question, Prabhuji?
Which question?
Why didn't Yudhishthira ask about Krishna's welfare directly?
Mataji, I am saying that we should not ask devotees only about their welfare. When we visit temple, we should not ask devotees, how are you? So how can we ask Krishna's welfare? Krishna is the Supreme Lord, he is always well only. We are not well, we should ask how am I? When we come in front of the Lord, we should ask how am I? We should not ask Krishna, how are you? If Krishna is not good, can we do anything for it? Do we have that capacity? To do anything to make his thing right? So it's like that. That is understanding. Yes, Prabhu.
Purport number 14. He is required to call for such a hungry man thrice on the road. The neglected of his right duty of a householder is usually in the matter of men and getting unpardonable.
This is the Vedic culture. In the Vedic culture, the grihasthas used to, before eating their lunch, they would come out of the home, they would ask, is there anybody hungry? Is there anybody hungry? So when somebody comes, they would feed. Whether they have or not, whatever they have, they would feed. Then whatever remaining, they would eat. If in the modern context, if you go out and call anybody hungry, 100 will come. And you will not have anything. So it is not practical today. In the Vedic culture, no, that's what Max Muller said. I have traveled length and breadth of India. I don't see anybody beggars in India. No beggars in India. 200 years back. Sorry? No beggars, no thieves. That was the culture in India. But now, entirely opposite. It's like.
Prabhuji, it is a test question. How to answer for the question?
Which question?
Why didn't Yudhishthira ask about Krishna's welfare directly?
Mataji, we are not supposed to ask.
Okay.
See, even one more thing. When your grandchildren come to you, they should not ask about your welfare. Because being a matured person, you know what to do for your welfare. The grandchildren don't know. Even though if you are not well, they can't do much. My grandchildren means literally means grandchildren below some 6-7 years, not grown-up children. Grandmother should ask the welfare of grandchildren. If the grandchildren are not well, the grandmother can do for the welfare of the grandchildren. She can do everything. Everything is enough. She can do either herself, she can request anybody in their relatives to do something for the grandchildren. But what grandchildren can do? So this is like in a practical way to see. The younger person should not ask the welfare of elder person. Because the elder person is supposed to be mature enough. They know. So that is the general custom. When a younger person approaches elder person, they should ask for blessings. Ashirvad mangna. So that is a custom. But nowadays it is opposite. The elderly people are not taken care properly. So we are in a situation that we need to ask about their welfare. But in the past, the elderly people are taken care very nicely. There was no such situation that we no need to ask them about their welfare. So that it was like that. Okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. So now in the 15th chapter, hearing the lamentation of Arjuna and seeing the entrance of Kali, Maharaj Yudhishthira enthrones his grandson Parikshit Maharaj as the next king of Hastinapur and giving up the kingdom, marches to death with his brothers towards Himalayas. So this will be the topic of this chapter. Here is a breakup of the entire chapter, different sections. This is a lengthy chapter, 51 verses are there. So Arjuna recalls what all Krishna did for them, and he also remembers Bhagavad Gita and then consoles himself, understanding that what all happened in Dwaraka. Yudhishthira Maharaj enthrones Parikshit Maharaj and starts for north, Prag Dishamottara. So, and following Yudhishthira Maharaj, all the other Pandavas, Draupadi, they also start the north. Having told about Parikshit Maharaj's birth in chapter 7 to 12, before telling about how Kali was punished by Parikshit Maharaj, first the coronation of Parikshit Maharaj will be described. In order to describe the coronation of Parikshit Maharaj, first Vidurat's arrival, departure of Dhritarashtra, then Arjuna's arrival, the departure of the Pandavas are described in 3 chapters. So it is only when Pandavas leave home, then the Parikshit Maharaj will become king. When he becomes king, he will punish the Kali. That he performs the duties of the king. That will be described later. So that was the whole. Suta uvacha evam Krishna saka Krishna Pratra Rajna Vikalpita Nana Shankaspadam Rupam Krishna Vishlesha Karshita.
Sutta Goswami said, Arjuna, the celebrated friend of Lord Krishna, was grief-stricken because of his strong feeling of separation from Krishna. Over and above all Maharaj Yudhishthira's speculative inquiries.
Yeah, the friend of Krishna, Arjuna, was thus questioned by his brother, King Yudhishthira, because he presented himself as an object of worry. Because Arjuna suddenly came, fell at the feet of Yudhishthira and began to cry. So, unable to understand what is the reason, Yudhishthira began to inquire one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. And simultaneously, he had become thin because of separation from Krishna. The time when Arjuna went to Dwaraka, Krishna departed. He was there for 7 months. So how can Arjuna will eat in the absence of Krishna? We cannot. So he became thin. Something like that. Because so many things to settle, na? It's not like just going and returning. Like so many things he has to settle. Nowadays things are different, but in those days it's like elaborate. And stayed there. Why he stayed there so much we don't know, but he stayed there for so long. so that he has to make sure that everyone is pacified, like that. Even when Krishna, having come to Hastinapur after battle of Kurukshetra, just to pacify Subhadra, that Subhadra lost Abhinyu in the battle, Krishna stayed for 2 months. It is clearly mentioned in the Bhagavatam. He stayed for 2 months. Even Prabhuji was discussing the Bhagavatam class. Anyone heard Bhagavatam class today? So when all the Mayapur devotees, they visited Jagannath Puri, so Mahaprabhu would say that, I am sold out person. I can't live without you. Please take my body along with you and do whatever you want along with it. They came for Ratha Yatra. Ratha Yatra is over. All the celebrations of Ratha Yatra, return Ratha Yatra, everything is over. Now they want to go back to Mayapur and other places nearby Mayapur. Then Mahaprabhu is saying that, I can't live without you. Please take my body along with you. And they said, no, Mahaprabhu, don't say like that. We will stay for 1 more week. They stayed for 1 week. Then after 1 week, again Mahaprabhu would say that, how can I live without you? You are my life and everything. If you go, I cannot live in 1 moment. They would stay for 1 more week. Like that, they would stay for 4 months. And then they would promise that, Mahaprabhu, please, we will come back. We'll surely come back next Ratha Yatra. We'll just go. Mayapur is not so far. The next village only. We just go and come back for the next Ratha Yatra. So like that. This is from Mahaprabhu to the devotees. And when Mahaprabhu wanted to go for Vrindavan, the devotees in Jagannathpur, they were afraid. If Mahaprabhu goes to Vrindavan, will he ever come back? And they would say that Ratha Yatra is coming up. Not Ratha Yatra. They start with Dola Yatra. During Gaur Purnima, Dola Yatra will be there. Just before the beginning of summer. Dola Yatra is coming up. Please stay. After the festival, you can go back. Because after Makar Sankranti, the weather is pleasant. Spring season. Mahaprabhu wanted to go to Vrindavan. They said, no, please wait for till Dola Yatra. Mahaprabhu waited till Dola Yatra. That holy is the Dola Yatra. Then he said that I will go. Then they said that wait, Nauka Vihar is coming. This Akshay Tritiya, from Akshay Tritiya for the next 21 days, they do perform Nauka Vihar. Here we apply Chandan. In Jagannath Puri, they take Usavamati to that Indradunna Sarovar, Naren Sarovar. They take lordship on the Nauka Vihar. Here also we do 1 day. We used to do in Banganga previously, but now they stopped. We do in the Vrindavan forest only. So lordship will be taken to Nauka Vihar. They would say that Nauka Vihar festival is there, please stay. Afterwards you can go. Then after that festival, when Mahaprabhu says I will go, they would say the Janmashtami is coming. Please wait. Not Janmashtami. Ratha Yatra is coming, please wait. Then you would say the Ratha Yatra is over, I will go. They say Janmashtami is coming, please wait. So like that, they would keep Mahaprabhu fun by giving excuse of one festival or other festival like that. So this is how the devotees would communicate with each other. It's like that.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat
Yes,
Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhuji, can you tell me a little about Dol Yatra? Because it is always, I'm feeling like, what is Dol Yatra? In Chaitanya Charitamrita also, it is not
Dola Yatra is
described properly. What is
holy festival, Rangoli.
Okay, they play
and
Holi there.
Pushabhishek. It is combination of both. Pushabhishek we do, throwing flowers. And then beginning of Vasanta
Chapati
Ritu,
temple
Pushabhishek
also we do.
So during that, Dola Yatra will come, throwing water. Summer is about to begin. So it's like that.
Okay. Okay, Prabhuji. Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So that's how. In the current day, modern day, the things are entirely different. When some guest comes, there is a fixed time. Guest will come at a certain time. They will attend the program. They will have lunch. Then they are gone. We don't see anybody. Unless until they are close relative, they can't stay for 1 or 2 days. Otherwise, all the guests will come for the program. And programs are also happening in the function hall. No one comes to home also. But in my childhood, when the relatives would come, they would stay for festival 3-4 days. After the festival is over, they wanted to go. So parents would say that stay for 1 more day, we'll go later on. So they would stay for 1 more day. The next day they all would get ready and they would go to bus stand. Bus won't come. Again come back, stay for 1 more day. So like that they would stay for 1 week, 10 days like that. Because in those days it is not like that. In family means integrated family, even one person is not that, the rest of the people will take care of the family. But nowadays not like that. Everything is nuclear family. If one person is away from home, the home cannot go on. So no, situation is entirely different. So it's like that. So Arjuna stayed there for 7 months just to pacify. Even when Uddhava went to Vrindavan, You could have pacified Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda and all the Vrindavan Vasis overnight and you would have come back. But it took 2 months to understand that I cannot pacify these Vrajavasis. Even I came here to learn from them what Bhakti is all about. He stayed there for literally 2 months. So this is how things used to happen in the Vedic culture. So it's like that.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी
हाँ,
पहले लोग ना रुकते थे कहीं कहीं भी जाते थे तो लोग है ना रुकते थे काफी टाइम के लिए अभी
yes,
कैसा
yes.
जाके फट कोई भी किसी को रोकता नहीं है कोई पहले रिश्तेदार वगैरह भी आते थे तो 7-10 दिन ऐसे आराम से रुक जाते थे कोई किसी को
Yes,
किसी
yes,
चीज का
yes.
जल्दी नहीं रहता था Yes, Mata-
That's what I'm
Prabhuji.
saying. Previously, the families were integrated family. Even one member is away, there will be no problem in the family. And mostly the people are not employees. They used to do their household chores. They used to have agriculture or their household business. So it's up to them whether they want to open the shop or not. If they don't open the shop for 10 days, it's okay. It's not like that. But nowadays, not like that. It's daily, daily. Every day is like a rat race. One day not open, not in no business means that's all. It's like a thunderbolt. So our life has become like that now. So, thus Arjuna became the object of doubt for the king. Was it because of this or was it because of that? My dear Arjuna, are you rejected because of this, because of that? Like that, so many questions came up. The cause was Arjuna's worrisome condition. He had become thin because of separation from Lord Krishna. शोकेनाशुष्येद्वदना पृस्सरोजो हतप्रभा विभुं तम् एवानुस्मरन् नाशक्नोत् प्रतिभाषितुम्.
Due to grief, Arjuna's mouth and lotus-like heart had dried up. Therefore, his body lost all luster. Now, remembering the Supreme Lord, he could hardly utter a word in reply.
Arjuna, his lotus heart and his lotus face dried up because of intense grief out of separation from Lord Krishna. With dull complexion, remembering the Lord, he could not reply. He could not speak to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Immediately could not reply. कृच्छ्रेणा संस्तभ्य शुचा प्राणिनामृज्य नेत्रयो परोक्षेण समन्नुद्धा प्रणयोत्कण्ठया कातुरा सख्यं मैत्रीं सुहृदं च सारथ्यादिषु संस्मरन् नृपम् अग्रजम् इति आह बाष्पगद्गदया गिरा. Yeah, read the translation.
With great difficulty, he checked tears.
With great difficulty, he checked the tears of grief that smeared his eyes. He was very distressed because Lord Krishna was out of his sight, and he increasingly felt affection for him. Remembering Lord Krishna and his well wishes, benefactions, intimate familial relations, and his chariot driving, Arjuna, overwhelmed and breathing very heavily, began to speak.
Yeah. Stopping with very difficulty the tears which are coming out his eyes profusely. In the time he came to Hastinapur, he was crying only, crying. And when Yudhishthira Maharaj asked, "Are you dejected because of separation from Krishna?" Then the feelings became 1,000 times more. Then he began to cry more and more. That's why he could not reply immediately. So eventually, in due course of time, because he needed to reply to his elder brother, he cannot say quite. So stopping with difficulty the tears and wiping his tears with his hands, extremely pained by the increased longing of love due to separation, remembering the pure friendship with Lord Krishna, friendship mixed with servitude. Sakyam means pure friendship. Maitri means friendship mixed with servitude, and friendship mixed with parental affection is Sahurdam towards Lord Krishna. Arjuna spoke to the king with choked voice filled with tears. Bashpa Gadgadaya Gira. The tears are still coming and his mouth is faltering. He is not able to speak normally. So, with that, he is speaking. Stopping the tears of grief in his eyes, he wiped those tears which flowed anyway. Even though he is wiping, still new tears are coming. The tears are continuously coming. Because of Lord Krishna not being present, he was in great pain. Sakyam is mutual affection between two friends and mutual helping to each other. So Krishna acted with Arjuna like a mutual friend, affectionate friend. And Krishna also acted with Arjuna like a mitra. So Maitri means Sakya mixed with Dasya. So Arjuna would feel Krishna like his master, and Krishna is like Arjuna is like the servant of Krishna. And Sahurdam is Sakya mixed with Vasalya. Friendship mixed with parental affection. So in that way. So Arjuna remembered Krishna that he treated him like a Sakya, Maitra, and Sahurda. Remembering all those things, now Arjuna began to speak. So the very first verse itself, it reveals what had happened. Arjuna uvacha vanchitoham maharaja harina bandhurupina yena me apahartam tejo deva vismapanam mahat.
Arjuna said, O king, the supreme personality of Godhead Hari, who treated me exactly like an intimate friend, has left me alone. Thus my astounding power, which astonished even the demigods, is no longer with me.
Yeah. Vanchitoham Maharaja Harina Bandhurupina. So, my dear elder brother, my dear king, he was actually Lord Hari, who appeared in Yadu dynasty, who dealt with all of us like a intimate friend, Bandhurupina. And that friend has left me today. Vanchito Aham. I am now today I am bereft of his association, bereft of his presence. That Supreme Lord Hari appeared one of our relatives who dealt with like a friend, like a well-wisher, like a parental, like a parent, like a guide. He has disappeared, leaving me behind. So in that way. Yename apahrutam tejo deva vismahamanam mahat. Because of whose presence, by whose mercy, I have astonished even the devatas with my archery skills. Deva vismahapanam mahat. So in that way. O king, my friend, the Lord has left me. He has taken with him my great power, which astonished even the devatas. So it's like that. The Lord not only left me, he has taken my vitality also in that sense. Vanchita means abandoned. I have been left by my friend, the Lord, who has taken my powers, which were given by him. So the Prabhupada elaborately explained this one point. I have been left by my friend. My friend left me, who has taken my powers, which were given by him. He gave me power with which I astonished the devatas, and he left me, and he also took away all those powers. So this is one of the important point about which Prabhupada writes in the purport. Someone can read the purport probably.
In the Bhakti Gita 10.41, the Lord says, anyone specifically powerful and opulent in wealth, strength, beauty, knowledge, and all that is materially desirable is to be considered but a product of an insignificant portion of the complete whole of my energy. No one, therefore, can be independently powerful in any measure without being endowed by the Lord. When the Lord descends on the earth, along with his eternal, ever liberated associates, he not only displays the divine energy possessed by himself, but also empowers his associate devotees with the required energy to execute his mission of incarnation. It is also stated in the Bhagavad Gita 4.5 that the Lord and his eternal associates descend on the earth many times, but the Lord remembers all the different roles of incarnations, whereas the associates, by his supreme will, forget them. Similarly, the Lord takes away with him all his associates when he disappears from the earth. The power and the energy which were bestowed upon Arjuna were required for fulfillment of the mission of the Lord. But when his mission was fulfilled, the emergency powers were withdrawn from Arjuna because the astounding powers of Arjuna which were astonishing even to the denizens of heaven, were no longer required, and they were not meant for going back home back to Godhead. If endowment of powers and withdrawal of powers by the Lord are possible even for a great devotee like Arjuna, or even the demigods in heaven, then what to speak of the ordinary living beings who are but figs compared to such great souls? The lesson is, therefore, that no one should be puffed up for his powers borrowed from the Lord. The same man should rather feel obliged to the Lord for such benefactions and must utilize such power for the service of the Lord. Such power can be withdrawn at any time by the Lord, so the best use of such power and opulence is to engage them in the service of the Lord.
So Prabhupada kind of elaborates this one particular point. Quoting from Bhagavad Gita 10:41. Yad yad vibhuti mastatvam srimat urjitameva tat tat evava gachatvam mama teja amsha sambhava. Whatever wonderful, whatever opulent thing that you can come across in this world is all my expansion, my vibhuti. So in that sense. So taking that as a clue, the people, whoever may be, whether in the mission of the Lord, not in the mission of the Lord, whatever we have, everything is bestowed by Supreme Lord only. But we say that we are self-made men. So that is the problem. So that's why Prabhupada basically writes that the lesson is, therefore, that no one should be puffed up for his powers borrowed from the Lord. Everything is actually given by the Lord. If we are too much puffed up with what we are bestowed with, so we may not be bereft of those powers in this life, but next life we will be bereft of all those powers. Definitely, for sure, that will happen. From the material point of view, one may say that, okay, they may boast and they may say that no one can do anything to me like that. Yeah, yes, in this life, no one can do anything. Then in the next life, the reality dawns upon. So something like that. So in that way, even in Bhagavatam also, Sukadeva Goswami later on says, in the 10th canto, somebody says that Buddhindriya Manaprana Jarana Masurjat Prabhu Matrartancha Bhavartancha Loka Atmani Kalpanayacha. We were endowed with Buddhi, the intelligence, Indriya, the senses, Mana, the mind, Prana, the 10 pranas with which you can, the ability to perform various activities. All these things are given to human being so that they can live happily, complete their business here, and can go back home back to Godhead. So that was the whole idea. So even personalities like Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Hiranyakashipu, they also become so puffed up by their powers. They performed austerity, they got power, they wanted to become immortal. But eventually in due course of time, everything is taken away from them. So in that way. So thus in the very first verse he says that, so my dear Lord, sir, my dear elder brother, my dear king, the Supreme Lord who appeared as our relative has abandoned me and he has taken my powers also. Whatever powers he has given us, he has taken that also. So from the Prabhupada's point of view, purport point of view, it says that whenever Lord comes, his associates also come. Lord already had all the opulences. He bestowed those opulences on some of his devotees for the purpose of the mission. So when the mission is completed, Lord will withdraw everything. So because that is not required anymore, so he has taken back. So this is one more important verse. Yes sekshana viyogena loko I apriya darshana uktena rahito yasha mrutaka prochate yata.
I have just lost him, whose separation for a moment would render all the universes unfavorable and void, like bodies without life.
Yeah, someone can read the purport. This is also important purport.
Actually, for a living being, there is no dearer than the Lord. The Lord expands himself by innumerable parts and parcels of swamsa and Tibinnamsa. Paramatma is the swamsa part of the Lord, whereas the Vibinnamsa are part of the living beings. As the living being is the important factor in the material body, for without living being, the material body has no value. Similarly, without Paramatma, the living being has no status quo. Similarly, Brahman or Paramatma has no locus standing, without Supreme Lord Krishna. That is thoroughly explained in the Bhagavad Gita. They are all interlinked with one another, or interdependent factors. Thus, in the ultimate issue of Lord is the summum bonum and therefore the vital principle of everything.
So here the importance of Bhagavan kind of highlighted. So ultimately, for each and every living entity, there is no one more dearer than the Supreme Lord himself. In the Bhagavatam class, Shamanan Prabhu was talking about Brahma Vimon Lila pastime. After the entire pastime was over, Sukadeva Goswami was asked by Parishit Maharaj one question. So, my dear Lord, why is it so? Generally, for every parent, their children are the most lovable objects. Parents naturally love their children. Even though they may show affection to other children, but the affection toward their children is always more than that of the other children. But I don't see that in Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, in the past, before Brahma Vimon Lila happened, all the parents were showing more affection to Krishna than their own children. And for the last 1 year, they were showing affection to their own children, not to Krishna. So why it is so? So there, Sukadeva Goswami says that. So my dear Parikshit, I'll go from backward. For people in general, in the world, people normally, we have so many objects of affection. Some people like their home, some people like their vehicle, some people like their family member, spouse, or children, like that. We have special affection for some of our close friends and relatives, etc. etc. That is all because they are all connected to our body. Liking one's wife, liking one's children, because they are very closely connected to the body, liking one's parents, etc. Relatives, body relationship is there. Why that liking is there? Because there is a connection between those bodies. The body becomes dear. So body of a family member becomes dear because that is a byproduct of my own body. So my body becomes dear because the Atma is there in that body. For one's own Atma is dear, and then Atma's relationship in the form of bodily things becomes dear. Why Atma becomes dear? Atma becomes dear because Atma is an Amsha Paramatma. Actually, the Jivas love naturally for the Paramatma, for the Supreme Lord only. But we don't know that, we've forgotten that. As a result of that, we are showing our love towards Atma. And even we don't know that, that also we have forgotten. But as a result of that, we are showing love to our own body. So many times, we may not show so much love for our body. We may show love for others' bodies only so much. That is because they are our byproducts. Like especially the parents, they don't worry about their own concern, their own comforts. They always worry about the comforts of their children. It is natural. Even they don't eat, they don't have something, but they want their children to have everything. That is because they are our byproducts. So they are able to show that love and concern for the children because they are the bodily byproducts of our own body. We are showing that love and concern for the body because that is a byproduct of the soul. And we are only showing that love and concern for the soul because the soul is a byproduct of Paramatma. And Paramatma is a byproduct of Bhagavan. By nature, every Jiva has love for the Supreme Lord. But that love is forgotten and is shown in various byproducts. So in that way. But Vrajavasis are on the highest platform, even though they have their own body, they have the body of their husband, their family member, their children, but their love for Krishna never decreased. It still remained. Even later on, when Krishna himself became their own son, that love remained. So previously there was one Krishna, but now there is Krishna in every house. So instead of showing that love to the son of Yashoda, they are showing the love for their own son, who is actually Krishna. So that is the ultimate sense. In the ultimate sense, every Jiva has love for Supreme Lord only. Because we have forgotten that, we are showing our love in the byproducts today. So that is what is being indicated in this shloka. So that's how Prabhupada is establishing. In relation to all the living entities, in one sense, they are all Vibhinnamsha of Supreme Lord. So our natural love for Bhagavan. Even Brahman and Paramatma are also expansions of Bhagavan. Without Bhagavan, there is no existence for Brahman and Paramatma. Like Brahmanohi patishtaham. Brahman is situated on me, something like that. So here Arjuna is saying very interesting thing. Just as a dead person without life becomes repulsive, the world which is separated from Krishna, even for a moment, appears repulsive. The wife and children, the wife is living with the husband since the time of marriage. The children are living with the parents since the time of their birth. But when the father dies, how long the children will keep the dead body in the family? How long? Half day? Half day. The dead body becomes repulsive.
Yes.
Of course, they express their lamentation out of separation, but in relation to the body, how long they would like to continue the body? Will they continue the same activities the body? No.
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 As long as there is prana, the person is dear. When prana is gone, it becomes unbearable, undesirable.
Yeah.
Within the
Immediately they want
sunsets,
to.
within the day of sunsets, they will do final rites. They don't want to keep the dead body for a long time. So it's like that. Now Arjuna is going the same thing. This world is like the body. Krishna is like the prana, like the Atma. So without Krishna, this world is apriya darshanam. I don't want to see this world only. Yasya kshana viyogena loko hi apriya darshana. It is like a person does not want to spend even one moment with the dead body. So that is the state of consciousness which Arjuna is going through now. This and the verses following till verse 13 are all connected with the Lord in verse 5. An example is given to show that what was the attractive becomes repulsive without life. Previously, the person was attractive. The children were playing with him, husband was serving him, everything is happening. The wife was serving husband. But when the death comes, so no one want to continue with that. Things become repulsive in that sense. Esha refers to persons like father. So there later on in the Bhagavatam, this verse is quoted. Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati Shastram Japastapa Apranasaiva Dehasya Mandanam Lokaranjanam. So here for Arjuna, it is like Krishna is like the prana. For people in general, we should take bhakti like the prana. Without bhakti, we may do so many things. Like we may be born in aristocratic family. Okay, we may be expert in shastra. We may be expert in chanting Vedic mantras. One may be expert in performing austerities. But without bhakti, performance of all these things are like apranasaiva dehasya mandanam lokaranjanam. That means decorating the dead body. Without life, if one decorates the dead body, will anybody feel happy with the decorated dead body? When a person is alive, if you decorate, the person becomes more beautiful. But dead body, no, it's not like that. So bhakti is like the prana and remaining all like the decorations on the dead body. And for Arjuna here, Krishna is like prana and performing all other duties are like decorations on the body. So without Krishna, Arjuna does not want to stay even one moment in this world. It's like that. So this should be the state we need to come to. This is the qualification to go back home back to Godhead. Without Krishna, I don't want to stay even one moment here. So when one comes to that consciousness, then one is ready to go back home back to Godhead. Now anyway, Krishna is not there. For Arjuna, Krishna was there along with him for 125 years. So Krishna just disappeared in Arjuna's case. For us, since birth, Krishna is not there. But still, when we come to this kind of consciousness, then we are ready to go back home back to Godhead. Otherwise, currently we have so many other ambitions. So as long as those ambitions are there, we still remain in this world only. Because all the ambitions are not fulfilled in this one lifetime. Some are still remaining. So we need to fulfill them in the next life. That's why Prabhupada said this always devotee, Prabhupada disciples always quote that when Prabhupada was about to leave, they asked Prabhupada, do you have any more desire to be fulfilled? Koi ichha nahi. Something.
Hare Krishna
So
Prabhu.
from this verse onwards, all the way up to 17, about 11 verses, talks about in different conditions how Lord Krishna helped the Pandavas attaining whatever they attained. So these are Mahabharata stories are there. Request all of you read through the purports later on when you go home. All Mahabharata only. Nothing. The entire since childhood what all happened till now. Arjuna remembers everything. All the stories of Mahabharata. Yes, samshraya drupadage muppagatanam rajnam swayamvaramuke smara durmadandam tejo hrutam kalumaya bihataschamasya sajjikritena danusha digata cha Krishna.
Only by his merciful strength was I able to vanquish all the lusty princesses assembled as the palace of King Durupata for the selection of the bridegroom. With my bow and arrow, I could pierce the fish target and thereby gain the hand of Draupadi.
In the Draupadi Swayamvar, two things happened. One thing is piercing through the eye of the fish. So by taking shelter of him, okay, I pierced the fish with a strong bow and obtained Draupadi. After winning the hand of Draupadi, when the Pandavas were about to leave the place, there was a big battle. So all the warriors who failed in that Swayamvara condition, they said, how can a Brahmana take away a Kshatriya girl? First of all, you are not supposed to take part in the Swayamvara competition, and to take part and you win the challenge and you're taking away the lady. How can you do that? You fight with us. You defeat us and then take. Otherwise, you die. So all the warriors, whoever visited to take part in that Swayamvara ceremony, they all assembled there. And Arjuna and Bhima, both of them defeated everyone. That also Arjuna remembers here. I stole the power of the kings who had come to Drupada's house for the Swayamvara ceremony. First, he pierced the eye of the fish, then they defeated all the warriors. So both things happened, and they recognizing the mercy of Krishna because Krishna was personally seated there. Everything is happening in the presence of Lord Krishna himself. Because of taking shelter of Krishna at the Swayamvar of Draupadi, I stole the power of the kings and obtained Draupadi. Winning the Draupadi through by shooting that fish is very small thing, one arrow only. But fighting with all the warriors headed by Duryodhana, Karna, Shalya, and everyone was there. So it is not ordinary thing. There are no armies, only two people from the side of the Pandavas, Arjuna and Bhima. And still they defeated everyone. That is because Krishna was personally sitting there. Yes, Sannidavahamuhu Kandavamagnedam Indram cha Samaraganam Tarasa Vijitya Labda Sabamaya Krutadbhuta Shilpamaya Digbyo Harandrupatayo Balimadvarete.
प्रभु की आवाज नहीं आ रही.
Hare Krishna, able to hear or not?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
We are
Please.
hearing Prabhuji.
It was near me. It was possible for me to conquer with great dexterity.
Near me, it
The
was
powerful
possible
king
for
of
me to
heaven,
conquer.
Indradeva, along with his demigod associates, and thus enable the fire god to devastate the Kandava forest. And only by his grace was the demon named Maya saved from the blazing Kandava forest. And thus we could build our assembly house of wonderful architectural workmanship, where all the princesses assembled during the performance of Rajasuya Yajna and paid you tributes.
Eventually, after winning the hand of Draupadi, the 5 Pandavas came to Hastinapur. So many things happened. The kingdom divided into 2 parts. Pandavas given a barren land known as Kandaprastha. They went there. Eventually, with the help of Krishna, Balram, and Vishwakarma, they constructed Indraprastha city. So during the housewarming ceremony of that Indraprastha, Krishna visited. Krishna visited along with Satyabhama, etc., some of his queens. There, one day, Lord Krishna, Arjuna, Satyabhama, Draupadi, they all went to forest. What we call that festival? Atlataddi. In Telugu, we call it as Atlataddi. No, we never participate in that. It's like in the villages they do during this spring season. One day they go to the field. They spend whole day there only cooking everything, and they put this not Toran, what do you call it? Julan, and they play in the Julan whole day. There's a festival actually in the village it happens. So for that festival they went.
Harvest festival.
Not exactly harvest. It is called as Atlataddi in our place. Vasantotsav, something like that. During the spring season. So that time, as Krishna and Arjuna were playing at leisure here and there, they are walking by Yamuna river and here and there. Suddenly one old man comes requesting for some help. Arjuna says, okay, yes, please tell me what do you want? How can we serve you? Then he talks about his old story. He was actually Agnidev. In all different yajnas, so much ghee is poured. He became diseased. He wanted to eat some herbs which are there in the Kandava forest. But whenever he went and tried to eat that forest and basically burn that forest, Indra is the overall in charge of that forest, either like owner of that forest, and in that forest his friends are staying. His friend Takshaka is staying in that forest, something like that. Takshaka only? Takshaka's friend is Mayadana. Takshaka is the Indra's friend, something like that. Some story is there. So whenever Agni would go and burn it, rain would come. So he could not do. So now please do something to stop that, so that I will cure my body from the disease. So Arjuna said that no problem, since you are telling it is Indra's, in order to fight with Indra, the bow and arrows which I have, they are not sufficient because they cannot match my speed. In order to fight with Indra, I need to throw arrows one after the other within a wink of eye. This bow cannot withstand my power of throwing a number of arrows one after the other continuously. I need a strong bow which can withstand so that I can fight with Indra and other devatas. So Agni summons Varuna and Agni requests Varuna, please help Arjuna so that he can do the needful. Then Varuna brings a chariot with the horses and with a Gandiva bow with 2 Toranas, Akshaya Tura they call it as, 2 inexhaustible quivers. The quiver means the Kshatriyas will put backside one carrier, arrow carrier. Normally one carrier would host for 20 arrows. So you take 1 arrow, shoot 20 arrows might be completed in 1 minute. Afterwards, no weapons, he will be killed. This Akshaya Tora is like, as many as you take, that many will fill. It will never end. It will never become so empty. So they were all given by Varuna and to Arjuna. So with them and with the help of Krishna, and he also gives Sudarshan Chakra to Krishna. Agni, by requesting Varuna, Varuna also gives a Sudarshan Chakra to Krishna. So both of them are well equipped and both of them fought with Devatas. And rain came, Agni started burning, rain came, Arjuna created a partition so that rainwater will not come down. Indra becomes angry, he calls all the Devatas and they all started fighting with Arjuna. So Arjuna defeats all the Devatas since Krishna is there next to Arjuna. So in that way. In his company I conquered with my strength Indra and the Devatas, gave the Kandava forest to Agni so that Agni can eat all the Aushadhi that is there in that forest. And then eventually when the entire forest is getting burnt, Mayadanava came out and took shelter of Arjuna. But before that, Krishna is about to release the Sudarshan Chakra because everyone is supposed to die who are in that battle, in that forest. But since he has taken shelter of Arjuna, Arjuna requests Krishna, Krishna, please don't kill him. He has taken my shelter because I am Kshatriya, I am supposed to give shelter to surrendered soul. So then Mayadanava requests Arjuna, please, you have protected me, you ask for something. Arjuna says, I cannot take any favor from anybody. initially. So then still he insists, please ask for something. Then Mayadanava looks at Krishna, tells Krishna that, my dear Lord, please tell him to ask something, otherwise I don't feel happy. Then Krishna tells that, Arjuna, please ask something. Then Arjuna says that, construct a building for my brother. Not for me, but for my brother, Yudhishthira Maharaj. Then Mayadanava constructed Mayasabha, in which the Rajasuya sacrifice conducted. And then Mayadanava asked Krishna also, please, no, he, not he. So he goes, Mayadanava goes, and that pastime is mentioned here. So obtain the assembly hall of wonderful construction made by Maya and presented it to you as a gift at the Rajasuya sacrifice, where kings from all directions had assembled. So that was the event. Later on, Indra himself comes down and begs forgiveness from Krishna. When Indra realizes he is defeated by Arjuna, then he comes and begs forgiveness from Krishna and tells that, anyway, I have come, please ask for a benediction. He asks Arjuna, Arjuna asks for something. And that time Arjuna, I think he says that, please give your special favor to our kingdom and making it as your own abode, like Sargaloka. Then later on it became known as Indraprastha. And he asked Krishna also, my dear Krishna, you also ask for a benediction. Then Krishna says that, let my friendship stay with Arjuna forever. So, like that.
And Indra is father of Arjuna.
Indra is the father of Arjuna. Of course, Indra willingly fought with Arjuna in order to understand the strength of Arjuna, whether he is ready to fight with Asuras who appeared as the Asura kings now. So that is like a kind of testing. The father is testing the son. How much power he has got. How much he has learned in the Gurukul. So in that way. You expresses astonishment. The Kandava forest belonged to Indra. I obtained the hall made by Maya, whom I saved from the burning forest. In that marvelous hall, the Rajasuya sacrifice was conducted. So this is how he is recognizing Krishna's help during that event. Then he continues. Et tejasan rupashirongrimaham makartam aryo nujastava gajayuta sattva virya tenahruta pramata mata makaya bhupa enmochitastadanayan balimadvarete.
Your respectable younger brother, who possesses the strength of 10,000 elephants, killed by his grace Jarasandha, whose feet were worshipped by many kings. These kings had been brought for sacrifice in Jarasandha's Mahabhairava Yajna, but they were thus released. Later they paid tribute to your majesty.
So this is about Rajasuya sacrifice. By his strength, by the strength of Lord Krishna, Bhima, endowed with the strength and enthusiasm of 10,000 elephants, killed Jarasandha, at whose feet many thousands of kings surrendered for the purpose of the sacrifice, by which kings who had been taken prisoner for Jarasandha's sacrifice to Shiva were released and brought gifts to your Rajasuya sacrifice. It is said that about 80,000 odd kings were imprisoned by Jarasandha, and Jarasandha wanted to sacrifice all those 80,000 kings in a Kala Bhairava Yajna to please Lord Shiva, so that he can become indefeatable and immortal, something like that. That was his idea. But Krishna, taking Arjuna and Bhima alone, killed Jarasandha. So Arjuna is saying that only by the mercy of Krishna only Bhima could kill Jarasandha and could release those 80,000 kings, and who came to Rajasuya sacrifice and offered their gifts unto you in that way. He who had kings of his own nature at his feet was Jarasandha. So without conquering him, the sacrifice could not be performed. So Bhima had perseverance and strength only because of Krishna's mercy. Jarasandha had gathered them in prison to sacrifice them to the Bhairava Shiva, Kala Bhairava Shiva. Because they were released, they brought tribute to sacrifice. After that, they performed the sacrifice. After the Rajasuya sacrifice, there was gambling match that is being discussed here. पत्न्यास्तवाभिमकक्लप्त महाभिषेक श्लाघिष्ट शारुकबरं किटवै सभायाम् स्पृष्टं विकीर्य पदयोर्पतिताश्रुमुख्या यस्तश्रियो कृतहतेश विमुक्तकेश.
Was
It
he
was.
only who loosened the hair of all the wives of the miscreants who dared open the cluster of your queen's hair, which had been nicely dressed and sanctified for the great Rajasuya sacrificial ceremony. At that time, she fell down at the feet of Lord Krishna with tears in her eyes.
Yeah, here Arjuna says that. And eventually, the same Bhima, with the mercy of Krishna, made widows of those whose rascal husbands in the assembly untied and pulled the hair bound up beautifully during the bathing ceremony of Rajasuya sacrifice of your wife, whose tears fell on the feet of Krishna. Like Arjuna is connecting both the pastimes. The first thing is Rajasuya sacrifice. At the end of the sacrifice, there was something called as Avabharatasam, during which the hair of Draupadi was very nicely arranged. That nicely arranged hair, in no time, maybe within a week time, was untied by Dushasana. Holding that hair, she was pulled all the way up to the assembly, where she was insulted in the midst of all the kings. And the Kauravas took pleasure in that. And now, this Bhima, your younger brother, with the mercy of Krishna, killed all those kings and made their wives widows. So, something like that. You made widows of the wives of the rascals like Dushasana, by whom your wife's hair, done up nicely for the bathing ceremony at the Raj sacrifice, was untied and pulled. So, in that way. From Draupadi's face, tears fell on the feet of Lord Krishna, who appeared in her mind by remembrance. So when Dushasana was trying to disrobe Draupadi, that time Draupadi, she tried all different ways for her protection. When she really remembered Krishna, so that is the context. So from Draupadi's face, tears fell on the feet of Lord Krishna, who appeared in her mind by remembrance. Then as soon as Draupadi remembered Krishna, Krishna appeared in her mind, and Krishna's feet was smeared by the tears of Draupadi. Or later on, when the Pandavas went to the forest, because they are supposed to go for 12 hours, 12 years Vanavas. That time Krishna and Balramji, Satyabhama, they all came to Vanavas. So in that Vanavas, Draupadi came and fell at the feet of Krishna. So where were you? Did not come to protect, something like that. That time she was crying. So during that time, her tears moistened the feet of Lord Krishna. So that is in either case, we can see that custom. यो नो जुगोपवनयेति दुरन्तकृच्छात् दुर्वासोरिरचितात् अयुताग्रभुग्या सा कन्नशिष्टमुपयुज्य यतस्त्रिलोकीं तृप्तां ममंसा सलिले विनिमग्नसङ्गा.
During our exile, Durvasa Muni, who eats with his 10,000 disciples, intrigued with our enemies to put us in dangerous trouble. At that time, he, Lord Krishna, simply by accepting the remnants of food, saved us. By his accepting food thus, the assembly of Munis, while bathing in river, felt sumptuously fed, and all three worlds were also satisfied.
Yeah, this is the past time when they were in forest, Panavas. So Krishna arriving at the forest and eating the remnants from the food pot, Akshaya Patra of Draupadi, saved us from the scheme of our enemy in the form of Durvasa, who is difficult to overcome and who eats with his 10,000 disciples, because they felt completely satisfied while submerging themselves in the water. Because of Durvasa, whose visit was planned out by the enemy, who has a terrible curse, who can curse terribly, who eats at the head of a line of 10,000 disciples. Lord Krishna came to us in the forest and saved us from eating the remnants of food in the pot. Came to us in the forest and saved us after eating the remnants of food in the pot. Due to that, the group of sages bathing in the water felt completely satisfied up to the three worlds. Not only Durvasa and 10,000 disciples, but everyone in the three worlds are completely satisfied. The story is told in Mahabharata. Once Duryodhana had Durvasa as his guest. Durvasa, satisfied, wanted to grant Duryodhana a boon, thinking in his mind that the Pandavas can be destroyed by the curse of Durvasa. Duryodhana requested Durvasa. What did he say? So, Yudhishthira is the head of our family. Therefore, you should be his guest with your 10,000 disciples. But you should go to their house when Draupadi has eaten and is not hungry. The Akshaya Patra has one condition. It can prepare unlimited food so that the Draupadi can serve the 5 Pandavas. Draupadi can also serve all the Brahmanas who are accompanying the Pandavas in the forest as they were traveling from forest to forest, everyone. And once Draupadi eats, the food part will not produce any more food. That means five Pandavas and all others and Draupadi, they all should eat to their heart content. They should not remain hungry anymore. Not like half eating. As much as they need. Then the part will not produce anything. Duryodhana says that Draupadi is eaten and she is not at all hungry anymore. If she is hungry, the part can produce food. More food. So when Durvasa arrived, Yudhishthira with great respect invited him for food after Durvasa had performed the noon bathing rituals. The sages submerged themselves in the water for purifying themselves with Agamarshana. The moment Draupadi thought of Krishna, he left Rukmini's side and came here immediately out of affection for his devotees. Durvasa suddenly came and asked for Bhiksha, Bhavati Bhikshandehi. Yudhishthira Maharaj requested, please come. You please go to the river and complete your morning Sandhya rites, noon Sandhya rites. By the time you come back, we will prepare food. So Durvasa went to the river. Yudhishthira Maharaj told Draupadi, please prepare some food. So Draupadi already ate. So she is in dilemma what to do. Now the part cannot produce any food. She immediately thought of Krishna. Krishna, who was with Rukmini, suddenly disappeared and appeared here. So when she told him that what had happened, Lord Krishna said, oh Draupadi, first I want to eat. First feed me. Forget about Durvasa and other things. First feed me. In great shame she said, oh, this is my misfortune and fortune. The Lord of the three worlds, the Lord of sacrifice has come to my house. That is my good fortune. But he is asking for food when there is no food. That is my misfortune. Thinking like this, she said, oh master, my food part given by the sun god is inexhaustible only until I eat. After feeding everyone, I have eaten. Now there is no more food in that part. She began to weep. With insistence, Lord Krishna made her bring the pot. And eating the spinach and the rice stuck to the edge of the pot, Lord Krishna said, bring the sages to eat. Bhima was sent. Bhima went to the lake and said to the sages, please come and eat. Why are you delaying? Brother is calling, please come and eat. Then Durvasa and his disciples who are still in the water, they are already filled to their neck. Being too full, fled, fearing that they had prepared a meal that could not be eaten. They are already full up to the neck. If they go back, if they don't eat, that is a great offense for the king. So he don't want to do any offense toward the king. Then from there on they left, running. So this is how Lord Krishna protected the 5 Pandavas from the curse of.
Why because you know this Duryodhana's request is a very.
Because he gave a word, no? He already gave a word. Please ask for a benediction, I will fulfill whatever you want. When you give word, you need to do it. For a modern man, it does not fit in our understanding. Why? It does not make any sense for us. But in the past, the things are like that. So it is like that. He has given word means he has to live with it. That's all. That's why Ramayana serial आप कभी watch किया? प्राण जाए पर वचन न जाए. So it's like that.
प्रभु जी कहीं कहीं पे ऐसे भी आता है कि दुर्वासा मुनि सोचे कि मतलब दुष्ट का खाना भी खाने से गलत होता है, मतलब कि अभी मैंने इसका खा लिया है तो उसको मुझे वचन देना पड़ रहा है. तो इट इज लाइक दैट. I read somewhere.
See,
It was
we
like
don't have to analyze the past time. It happened like that. Just be happy hearing the past time. No need to analyze.
Okay, Prabhu.
So now Arjuna continues. तेजसा भगवान युधिशूलपाने विस्मापिता सगिरिजोस्त्रम् अदान्निजं मे अन्येऽपि चाममुनैव कलेवरेण प्राप्तो मकेन्द्रभवने धादाशनार्दम्.
It was by his influence only that in a fight I was able to astonish the personality of God Lord Shiva and his wife, the daughter of Mount Himalaya. Thus he, Lord Shiva, became pleased with me and awarded me his own weapon. Other demigods also delivered their respective weapons to me. And in addition, I was able to reach the heavenly planets in this present body and was allowed a half elevated seat.
Then what else happened in the Vanavas that is being indicated in this verse? By Lord Krishna's power, Lord Shiva along with Mother Parvati became astonished at my prowess in fighting. And then Lord Shiva gave me his own weapon, Pashupatasra. And also Lord Shiva blessed me to go to heaven. As a result of that, all the Devatas also gave their weapons. Indra, Chandra, Varuna, they all gave their weapons. And in this body, I sat on the half of Indra's throne in his hall. When Arjuna went to heaven, Indra requested Arjuna to sit next to him. So both Indra and Arjuna were sitting on the throne of heaven. So this is a great honor for Arjuna that he is remembering Krishna's mercy in that regard. Lord Shiva along with Durga was astonished and gave his own weapon to Arjuna. Other devatas as well gave their weapons. I shared half of the throne of Indra. So in that way. Hare Krishna, all of you are able to follow?
Yes,
These are
Prabhuji.
different past tense
Yes, Prabhuji.
from Mahabharata
Yeah,
only.
Prabhuji.
तत्रैव मे विरहतो भुजदण्डयुग्मम् गाण्डीवलक्षणमरातिवदाय देवा सेनेन्द्रस्त्रितयदनुभावितम् अज आजमीडा तेनाहमद्यमुषिता पुरुषेण भूम्ना.
When I stayed for some days as a guest in the heavenly planets, all the heavenly demigods, including King Indradeva, took shelter of my arms, which were marked with the Gandiva bow to kill the demon named Nivatakavacha. O King, descendant of Ajamida, at his present moment I am bereft of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose influence I was so powerful.
Arjuna stayed in the heaven for 5 days, according to the heavenly calculations. That is 5 years on the earth. So among the 5 days, he learned all the archery from different devatas. He also learned dance and singing from the Gandharvas. On the final day, the last day, that is the 5th day, I think, the devatas requested Arjuna. There are some category of asuras known as Nivata Kavachas, who by performing severe austerity, they had a blessing that they cannot be defeated by the devatas, even all the way up to Indra. So devatas requested Arjuna. So Arjuna, these people, they occupied some of our heavenly abodes and they cannot be defeated by us. They have immunity from us. So may you go and defeat them and kill them and bring back our heavenly abodes. Arjuna went and fought with them and killed them and brought back those heavenly abodes and gave them as a gift to Indra. That Arjuna is remembering this. O descendant of Ajamida, I have been abandoned by that great person by whose power while I was staying in Swarga, the Devatas along with Indra took shelter of my strong arms, holding the Gandiva bow for killing the Nivata Kavachas. These are one category of Asuras. Arjuna single-handedly killed all of them in one day. Then Virata Yuddha. Yad Bandhava Kurubalabdim Anantaparam Eko Ratena Tatareha Matirya Sattvam Pratyahrutam Bahudanam Cha Maya Paresham Tejaspadam Manimayam Cha Hrutam Shirobhya.
The military strength of the Kauravas was like an ocean in which there dwelled many invincible existences, and thus it was insurmountable. But because of his friendship, I seated on the chariot, was able to cross over it, and only by his grace was I able to regain the cows and all collect by force many helmets of the kings, which were bedecked with jewels that were a source of all brilliance. Right.
Yeah. Here Arjuna says that having him as a relative, as a Bandhava, I alone crossed over the ocean of Kuru's strength, infinite in width, filled with formidable creatures, on my own chariot, and took abundant wealth of cows and jeweled turbans, symbols of their power, from their head. I, Arjuna is saying that, who had Lord Krishna as my relative, alone crossed the ocean of the Kuru army to take back the cows of King Uttara. So Uttara had two kinds of something like that. One from one side, Trigartas attacked the kingdom, Virata kingdom. The previous day, what is his name? Not the Virata king. So Virata king, along with his entire army, they were going on the battle with Trigartas. Yudhishthir, Bhima, Nakula, Sehadeva kind of joined him. There was no one in the kingdom, only ladies, Arjuna and Uttara. So all the army went to fight with them. The next day early in the morning, the Kauravas stole the cows. The news came to the Hastinapur. Then Arjuna, Uttara both went to fight. There was only Arjuna who defeated everyone. Bhishma, Drona, Shalya, Karna, Krupa, Ashwatthama. All the warriors were defeated by Arjuna. That is being indicated here. That army had no end because of its density and placement. That ocean was filled with formidable creatures such as Bhishma, Drona, etc. and who were like Timingala fishes in the ocean. I took the wealth in the form of the cows and their turbans and the symbols of their power from their heads, bewildering them with the Mohana weapon. Arjuna did not kill anybody. He defeated them. Then by throwing a Sammohan Asra, he put everyone into rest. Then he told Uttara, please go and get the upper cloth. That upper cloth is there no? In the Mahabharata serial we see. And also for some the mukut. Bring all of them except from Bhishma and Drona. Don't touch Bhishma, Drona and Krupacharya. Except these three people you can take from everyone. So Uttara brings all those things.
Right. Their pride has been taken.
Something like that. Yeah. So that is about Virat Yuddha. And then Mahabharata battle. Yo Bhishma Garna Guru Shalya Shamoshva Bhadra Rajanya Varya Ratamandala Manditasu Agre Charo Mama Vibo Ratayuta Panam Ayurmanam Shicham Drisha Saha Oja Chat.
It was he only who withdrew the duration of life from everyone and who, in the battlefield, withdrew the speculative power and strength of enthusiasm from the great military phalanx and made by the Kauravas, headed by Bhishma, Karna, Drona, Salya, etc. Their arrangement was expert and more than adequate. But he, Lord Krishna, while going forward, did all this.
Yeah. Oh Master, situated in front of me as my charioteer, Lord Krishna stole by his glance the karma, the minds, the enthusiasm to fight, and the ability to take up the weapons of the great Maharathas among the armies of Bhishma, Karna, Drona, and Shalya, decorated with an array of many royal chariots. O Lord, he was situated in front of me as the driver. By his inconceivable influence, he took away their prarabdha karmas, ayus. Just by glancing at the Kaurava army, Lord Krishna steal away their ayu. By his beauty, he stole their minds. By showering his power, he took away their enthusiasm to fight, characterized by sharpness of mind, sahas. By his glance alone, he took away their ability to take up weapons, characterized by sharpness of senses. By looking at the transcendental beauty of Lord Krishna, the warriors become disoriented. They don't know whether they have to lift the bow, lift the arrow, or lift the gada, lift the trident, or whatever. They are kind of bewildered. So that's how the entire battle went on. And then other warriors are also mentioned in the Mahabharata battle. Eddoshumapanhitam Guru Bhishma Karna Naptrutrigartashalya Saindava Balikadhyai Asranyamogamahimani Nirupitani Nopasprushur Nirharidasamivāsurani.
Great generals like Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Kurushriva, Susharma, Salya, Jayadratha, and Balika all directed their invincible weapons against me. But by his Lord Krishna's grace, they could not even touch a hair on my head. Similarly, Prahlada Maharaja, the supreme devotee of Lord Narasimhadeva, was unaffected by the weapons of demons used against him.
Yeah. Because I was in the shelter of his arms, the weapons of unfailing power released by Drona, Bhishma, Karna, Bhurishrava, Susharma, Shalya, Jayadratha, Balika, and others did not touch me, just as the weapons of the demons did not touch Prahlada. So very soon we are going to have Narasimha Chaturthi. This pastime will be talked about in the day. So Prahlad was made in so many attempts to be killed by the soldiers of Hiranyakashipu. But they have tried so many means, but none of the means became successful. Every time he was completely saved by Lord Vishnu. Like that, Arjuna is saying that just like Prahlad was saved by Lord Vishnu in all attempts to be killed, I was also saved by Lord Krishna. Because these warriors are not ordinary warriors. In any other battle, if they were fighting, obviously the opponent would be killed for no reason within one day. But how Arjuna survived for 18 days and killing one after the other all the people. Drona, Bhishma, Karna, Bhurishrava, Susharma, Shalya, Jayadratha, Balika, these are all invincible warriors. No one can stand in front of them. Powerful warriors, the most powerful warriors. The weapons of Drona and others did not touch me, established in the arms of Lord Krishna. Guru means Drona. Naptur means Bhurishrava. Trigartha is the king of Trigartha, Susharma. Shala is Shalya. Saindava is the king of Sindhu, Jayadratha. Balika was the brother of Shantanu. The weapons had unfailing power. An example of not being harmed by formidable weapons is Prahlada. Just like Prahlad Maharaj was saved, I was also saved by the weapons of all these wonderful people.
Trigartha comes first.
वही है त्रिगर्थ सुशर्मा. Trigartha is the kingdom next to Virat kingdom. I don't know. Where is that? I don't know. Tripura? No. Something might be there. So where is Virata? Virata is which place?
Bihar and this Rajasthan border. Darbhanga, Rajasthan.
So adjacent to that, whichever is there, that is Trigartha.
विराट प्रभु जी विराट तो ये ना राजस्थान में है बैराट करके विराट प्लेस जो है
So Trigartha is a kingdom somewhere adjacent to that. Neighboring kingdom. So then continues further. So this is the last verse. Arjuna is kind of recounting where all Lord Krishna helped. This is one more interesting pastime in the Mahabharata battle only. Saute vrita kumatinatma ishvaro me yatpada padmamavaya bhajanti bhavya Mam Shnantavam Mario Ratino Bhuvistam Na Praharanyadanubhava Nirasta Chitta.
It was by his mercy only that my enemies neglected to kill me when I descended from my chariot to get water for my thirsty horses. And it was due to my lack of esteem for my Lord that I dared engage him as my chariot driver. For he is worshipped and offered services by the best men to attain salvation.
So on the 14th day, 13th night, Arjuna took a vow that I will kill Jayadratha before the sunset tomorrow. So that day, Dronacharya kept Jayadratha behind the army. From the Pandava camps to the place where Bhurishtava kept is about 40 yojanas. One yojana is 13 kilometers. So how many kilometers will be? 40 into 13. How many?
520.
Yeah. Arjuna supposed to travel 520 kilometers on his chariot. It is not just traveling, but on the way, he has to fight with Dronacharya, Krupacharya, Karna, Ashwatthama, Shalya, like that many warriors. It is said that in the Mahabharata, Lord Krishna is driving the chariot in such a way that when Arjuna shoots a arrow, before the arrow would go and pierce the opponent army, the chariot would reach that place. That means the speed of the chariot is much more than the speed of the arrows thrown by Arjuna. But they were going like that, even though maybe like 2/3, 3/4 has occupied already. By the time horses became very tired, Krishna tells Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, horses cannot run anymore. We need to stop. And they are feeling thirsty because since morning they did not stop. Normal day, they fight for some time, they take rest, go out to feed the horses, they come back again, start fighting. But this day, Arjuna cannot wait even one moment. He has to reach and he has to kill Jayadratha, otherwise he will be killed. He has to kill himself. So the horses are not given any opportunity that they can take rest. Even normally fighting with two open, like Bhishma fighting with Bhishma, the chariot will be there only. It may not be running so much. Maybe slowly moving here and there slowly, but not running like anything. Today it is running like anything. This is so fast. So Krishna requests Arjuna, please stop. They need to be fed. They need to be given some rest. Then only they can run and catch Jayadratha. Otherwise they will die. Then Arjuna stopped the chariot. With one arrow created a lake. With one more arrow created a dome. So in that lake, the chariot, not Krishna released the horses. The horses were drinking the water from the lake. And Krishna was gently massaging the horses. And all these people are there in a dome created by arrows. And Arjuna standing outside fighting with all the warriors. When Karna was on the land lifting the chariot wheel, Arjuna says, so he is standing on the land, I cannot fight with him. Krishna remains. When you stood on the land, the Kauravas fought with you that time. You fight with him, no problem. So here he says that, foolishly I engaged Lord Krishna as my charioteer, who gives life, whose feet are worshipped by the great souls aspiring for liberation, and by whose influence the enemies who are situated in the chariots, losing concentration, could not strike me as I stood on the ground with thirsty horses. Because the horses were stopped, Lord Krishna was feeding the horses, he was gently massaging the horses. So within the dome, Lord Krishna created Vrindavan. Just like Lord Krishna would care cows in Vrindavan, he is doing the same thing with the horses in that place. And all the opposing party Kuru warriors, though they are fighting with Arjuna, but they are looking at Krishna. So looking at Krishna, they lost their consciousness, they lost their focus on the battle. So though they are fighting with Arjuna, but it is not, they are not focusing on the fight. Their concentration is attracted by Krishna because he created Vrindavan within the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So that Arjuna is remembering. They have lost their concentration. So they could not kill me. They could not harm me. Even they had opportunity. They can do anything at that time. So it was like that. Remembering Lord Krishna's powers in separation, Arjuna's Dasya Bhava appeared. This caused his natural Sakya Bhava to recede. Thus Arjuna sees that he was offensive to engage Lord Krishna as his charioteer and expresses regret in this verse. As a friend, he requested Krishna to become his charioteer. But now he's seeing Krishna as the supreme Lord who is worshipped by the great souls. I am a servant. Being a servant, I engaged him as my servant. This is my great offense. Like that, Arjuna is feeling regret. Saute means as a charioteer. Great souls worship him for liberation. This individual, Arjuna is talking about himself. This individual, myself, with ego, did not worship him. Instead, engaged him in my seva. It's like that. But listen to the mercy of the Supreme Lord showed to me, who I am such an offender. My horses were tired from lack of water while killing Jayadratha. So afterwards, again the horses were tied to the chariot and they go all the way up to Jayadratha. I got down from the chariot and piercing the ground produced water. At that time, the enemies could not attack me because by his influence, their minds lost concentration. So because Krishna created such a down environment, everyone lost their focus on fighting with Arjuna. They are kind of mesmerized for some time. They are lost their consciousness on the battlefield. So like that, various ways how Krishna helped them is remembered by Arjuna. Now Arjuna remembers his dealings with Krishna. How Krishna dealt with Pandavas in different ways. So actually I wanted to discuss all the way up to 20. It is already 1 o'clock. We'll stop here. We'll continue from this verse number 18 onwards in the next class. Because there is something to discuss about verse number 20 in great detail. So I wanted to stop there. But anyway, Hare Krishna, devotees online would follow what we discussed
Yes,
now.
Yes, Prabhuji, very well.
Of course, all our stories
Yes,
only. Nothing
Prabhuji.
much.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Prabhuji, next week exam is there.
Yeah, next week there will be exam for chapter 14.
Thank you,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
You written the exam here, na?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
I have not corrected on that day. I have corrected the online papers and sent the email. The papers are still in my bag only. No, I corrected afterwards. Okay, thank you very much. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Bhakta Vrinda ki
Hare
jai.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank